and welcome to Banking Frontiers Live. Today is a day of very interesting insurance conversation, and that too a deep dive into analytics, personalization, and customer experience. Along with me today, I have Mr. Sanjay Thawakar, who is the head of AI analytics at Max Life Insurance. So, Sanjay, you have come an insurance background and you have doing a lot of analytics uh, within the insurance industry framework. So, how have you been seeing the impact of AI in looking at engagements beyond transactions and personalization? How have you using data to facilitate you in this activity?
So, Babu, when we talk about here in the insurance industry and very specifically to the life insurance vertical within this entire thing, so when we talk about data, the way the data, the role that the data plays, it's like, it's across the value chain. So, how exactly we look at a life insurance value chain is that first side, we start with distribution, and over there we have our own sales force where we have our own partnerships with banks and everything. So the idea is that how exactly, who all are our agents, who is an agent who is going to be more successful, how can you get the best of those agents, what is the kind of training that can be used, and how do you prospect, which all are the prospective clients that can come in. So that is where, that's a first entry for any insurance company. Post that comes is the stage of issuance and underwriting. So the way we look at it is that, whenever you're sourcing a particular policy, we would want it to be absolutely proactive, which means is that we would want to understand that what is the kind of risk we are onboarding, what is the kind of person or the customer it is screwing. Are we doing a case? Is it a case of missell or not? So over there again a data place. So we have built a lot of these machine learning models, which is going to tell us that this is a high risk case. This can be a case of fraud. This guy is not going to pay up. This might be a case where he has been missold a particular policy. He might have got confused. So basis that our entire issuance cycle, happens. So we have, different programs. We kind of, talk to them. We kind of engage with them, try to tell them that what is this policy? What is it doing good, bad? So again, on back end, there is all we are doing is, looking at customer segments, what is the different kind of hyper segmentation can we do, what is their probable need, what is their life stage, what all things will be of interest to them, and basis that these engagement programs run. And obviously the usual, the renewal payments and everything that happens. And last, what we call as, upsell and cross sell. And last would be delivering the promise, which is like there's a stage wherein claim comes in. Now, when a claim comes in, it's a very much a emotional time because the family has lost someone, and we would want to honor most all the claims. That's what our industry is about. And if you would look at our claims ratio, we are among the highest, upwards of 99%. So the way we do that particular thing is again linking back to the kind of book I'm writing. So I'm being proactive. One thought process could be, at the time of claims, can we actually start looking at everything, or at the time of sourcing a policy. So in that particular thing, we do a lot of stuff at the time of issuance, so that at the time of claims we can make those payments, we can ensure. That in a nutshell is how the data is used in every specific area, or what we call as every segment of the value chain, in terms of helping it be what we call as a absolutely data driven decision making.
So ultimately, data is the fodder or the raw material of this entire business. And there are multiple sources of these raw materials. It comes from
Yeah.
social media, it comes from your internal sources, it comes from information from the client, it comes from informal sources, it comes through social sources, it comes through compliance and regulatory sources as well. So when you get all this kind of information and when you need to churn out all this information from the different sources, how easy or difficult it is to churn out this thing. So how do you make real good sense out of this data so that you can do a proper AI out of it?
See, that's a very good question, Babu. I think so. The crux of coming to a right decision and right insight is actually how you mix all these data, and it's not an easy step. So if I have to pick up, there are different sources of data. They're lying in different silos. Now we have got so many systems. Some of them are actually going to be source systems which are like legacy systems. There are new age systems that are coming in, and not just that. So we have a lot of structured as well as unstructured data. When I talk about unstructured data, there are a lot of folks who are chatting with us. Okay, then we have started getting some of these telemia, or what we call as a medical evaluation videos also we are coming. So there are all kind of data that is coming in, that's being generated, and we are saving in a different silos. Now, the first thing that we as an organization have started is that while we have a data warehouse and everything, but we are again starting another process of building an entire enterprise data lake. So we are working on in terms of getting all the data from different source systems in different form and shape and bringing it to a particular what we call as a customer 360. So I should be able to trace out that, okay, how did the lead happen, what is the when he came to my website, what all things he did, how did he log in, and so forth. That is a journey that is there, but even like that journey is still underway and we are kind of coming up on that part. But the way that we do is like we have access to most of the data sources and everything, and it takes a lot of manual time. That's after that the second time starts in how is this data being generated, what is the process. A lot of times we pick up a data, we start running with it without understanding how this data got generated in the first place. So that means that another time goes in terms of understanding the process. Post that we get what is called as absolutely clean structured data, for which then it becomes easy. Then it's algorithm parts, then you're testing, then privacy angles and everything, and fairness. But the host of time goes in that, and that's a fact, Manav. That's the true thing.
Absolutely. It is like setting up the tracks for the train to run. Once the tracks are laid, then the train runs smoothly.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, how do you ensure that there is calmness on the top of the sea while underground there are a lot of current happening when you do all this work?
So yeah, we start with a very robust process. So when I say a robust process, the very first thing that we do is we're bringing certain principles of design thinking and everything, wherein we go and see that, okay, if for example, where exactly this asset is being used, how exactly it is being used, what is the end expectation. So we kind of also get into these close FGDs kind of a thing with sellers or the customers and try and see what is their experience. And then we quickly come up with an MVP kind of a thing. And all of these are happening in the agile way of working, where in the business teams we kind of meet the business teams on an everyday basis, try and take their viewpoint on how the things are and come up with an MVP. So this kind of a thing, this kind of a process helps us ensure that while on the top of things, it goes perfectly. Whatever could be controlled, we try and do it. But like you said, Murphy's law, if something unexpected has to happen, it will happen. But that's the intent, that follow the process in its entirety to its true intent, and gather as much as possible using the CUGs. Because when these closed user groups are using it, we kind of get a lot of feedback. Now the question is that how much of that feedback is relevant and how much you are able to can be implemented. So that's where the the end outcome matters. So
With all these analytics and personalization and customization, one thing is very sure that in insurance it is gone beyond just the regular work of insurance. If you go to the general insurance, it is said it is from illness to wellness. And same way, if you go to insurance of life, the business head of any of this life insurance company will go beyond the engagements of just premium claims and disbursements to that of engaging him with a lot of other things, becoming a life to lifestyle. Okay. So, how have you been working around with the business teams in creating from life to lifestyle for the insurance customers, or have you been sticking only along the life and related areas?
So the way to look at in this particular thing, Babu, is that, the way we look at is that there is a life stage. Now, when we talk about this life stage, during that particular life stage, there are certain needs of a particular customer. Now, that need could be from, let's say, when I say a need, it could be investment for a particular, let's say, when you get married, suddenly you know that there is someone that you have someone who's dependent on you and your life, and if in not case you have to, there's a financial security angle come in. So you have to have a security. Creation of wealth. Now this creation of wealth can be used for your housing, for other aspects. Then the second thing will come down is towards, what is called for your kids education. So you have your 18-year time frame wherein you would want to have something wherein you are able to save money for that. And then finally it comes as retirement or legacy. Now basis each of those things, what all are the solutions that can fit in, what are the different kind of products that can appeal to a particular customer. And that's the way we are trying to see, and that's how we are trying to engage. How do we kind of provide them additional information about health and wellness? How can they be, tell them that being a living a fit and healthy life, how can it help you on? So that's the thought process, and that's how if you come to our own website, you will see that there are a lot of articles which is talking about in this particular entire genre of thing. Then comes as an investment and tax planning. How can you use these things? So these are some of the thought process where the idea is that now it's not like we are whole and poor sure a life insurer that this is the only thing that we do, but it's a complete ecosystem. It's complete taking looking after each of the different needs of a customer at different life stage, and how we can be their partner of choice in that journey. That's the idea.
And what about the customer preferences? How is the customer preference changing, and is analytics or any of the technology being used to, envelop around the needs of the customer there?
So, from a technology perspective, yes, I would definitely say that how the data and technology both are being leveraged to understand customer preferences. See, for example, let me give you an example. As a life insurance, we have got different kind of products. So one of the product is term insurance. One of the product is power funds. Then there are ULIP. So in ULIP, what happens is that whatever you're going to invest is going to go into the markets. And then comes one more category where is the guaranteed
Return.
payouts will happen. So what we call as a guaranteed products. And so, we are trying to see that when exactly at what stage the customer is going to be a more has a more preference to a particular kind of a product need. So, for example, if I have to say and put it in, the term plan is almost like a one particular thing wherein it helps you cover it provides the biggest umbrella in terms of a kind of a sum assured that you can go at a cheaper rates. So, for example, like we say that's the biggest umbrella of protection, which means that whatever is your financial needs and for a certain number of years, that's how you should do it. So the idea is that when we are interacting with customer, when we are knowing this thing, basis this life stage, we are trying to see is that what is the kind of a product that he will be most, engaged in? What is the best product that will kind of help him suit for his needs? So, for example, there is a customer who is a risk averse customer. He believes that my most of my investments has to happen in gold or a real estate because there's a guaranteed. I prefer FD. So for them, ULIP is definitely not a product. So maybe a product that can work for him would be a guaranteed product or some kind of a par product, wherein or what we call as a savings product, wherein he needs some guaranteed. He needs a guaranteed payouts happening. But there are certain customers who are willing to to take an additional risk, who are quite savvy. They understand the financial markets, and they say that they would want to go in for a different, a little bit of a higher market linked returns, and he also wants a certain mortality coverage on that. Then for them it becomes a ULIP, wherein he knows that that I'm getting the cover, and also my money is going to grow as per the market conditions. So over there, and even that, if within that there will be in different kind of funds, which is aggressive, which is balanced, which are depending upon his again risk profile. So there is a lot of gamification during the journey, and kind of we are trying to ask him that what is the kind of his preference, and kind of tell him that you seem to be a customer who is a risk averse kind of a customer, or you are a customer who is very, quite, what we call as, quite aware of the financial markets and the risk. So this is the kind of a product category that is going to best suit. The important element over here is that, how few questions you can ask. See, if you have to look from a customer perspective, how do you get to his that, subconscious need? What is the kind of a customer? Has he ever really dealt in financial markets and all? And that's where entire personalization, I would say gamification and UI UX element comes into the picture. How do you ask lesser questions? How do you ask some, questions in a different manner that we are able to really pinpoint to that particular need of the customer?
Absolutely. You ask less, but at least understand more from the basis of his
Yes,
profile and the data that is available to you.
sure.
Absolutely great. Thank you, gentlemen, for a wonderful conversation.